Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and to another reaction video. Today we're going to be watching, reviewing, and reacting to episode 4 of Interview with the Vampire. Now, I just finished watching episode 3. I wasn't actually expecting to watch another episode right now, but I have to keep going because at the end of episode 3 they introduced Claudia. So this is going to be the first Claudia episode and I'm really excited for that, so gonna have to watch one more. It is what it is, right? Yeah, but before I get into that, I just want to quickly say, if you are interested in seeing my full-length reactions to episodes of Interview with the Vampire, or getting early access to videos, or also getting some exclusive reactions to series or movies, please do check out my Patreon. It helps so much more than you probably know. Any little amount of support that people are able to give is a huge, massive help to me in allowing me to continue to make content. So if you like the content, do consider it. But I also just appreciate you guys being here and liking videos, commenting, subscribing to the channel, watching the videos, and showing support is all very helpful. So yes, now I'm really excited. I'm not gonna do a big recap. Like I said, I just finished watching episode 3, so you can check out my episode 3 reaction. There's a pretty long discussion at the end if you want to hear my thoughts. And we're just gonna get into episode 4 and see some Claudia. All right, here we go.
Handling the materials.
The archives, like Talamasca archives.
Suggest you begin on the left.
Are these Claudia's journals? They are, right? They look like a girl's journals.
The Black Angel took me to a fine house with gold ceilings like the ones in the
Oh
picture
yeah,
houses.
okay.
And that's when I guessed I was in heaven.
She's
so
pretty
I waited
messed
for the
up.
pain to go away and my mama to join me. But she didn't come and the pain got worse. The Black Angel was...
Please! I don't know where to bite. Her body's all charred.
You know you can do this.
And she'll be what? A lapdog.
Not a dog.
A daughter. You were ready to abandon our home. Now you want a third.
I just need her not to.
This is an interesting twist. Oh man, they made Louis ask him to do it. And Lestat sees everything in that moment, what he gains from it. Potentially a daughter.
The White Angel, he bit me right in the neck. And I thought, what a strange thing for an angel to do.
And it also means that technically only Lestat is her maker. Whereas in the books, of course, Louis is the one that drains her, and then Lestat gives her his blood, so they both are her makers. But in this, they changed it, so it's only Lestat that is technically her maker. And Louis' role is being responsible for what happened to her, and I guess
And then I
asking
tasted
Lestat.
And right away, I felt strong as a streetcar. What is that?
That's the incinerator where we burn the will.
He's like, slow down.
So where'd you find me? At my old house?
I heard you cry for help. We can hear people's thoughts.
What?
It's true.
Prove it. What am I thinking now?
Not yours.
Well, I can't. I'm your maker.
You're wondering if your nails will be like that forever. And the answer is yes. It's a special trick only folks like us have. Like the nails and the teeth.
You know Lestat doesn't like
So
this
you
one
can hear
bit.
me, but he can't.
Lestat's
Make
like,
him
knock
the
it off.
What's funny?
If he makes you, he can't hear your thoughts anymore.
Secrets.
We're a family?
Yeah. But with no secrets.
All right. So what's that for?
That's where we burn bodies.
Why do we burn bodies?
I'm not sure how I feel about that pleated skirt.
It's chiffon. It has movement.
I love Lestat being super interested in her
Looks
fashion.
like she takes after me.
Tremendous. Fortifying myself for an evening of swan hunting.
Yeah,
Back in the
no.
car, Claudia.
Claudia!
Claudia!
Oh,
Claudia!
she smelled something else she wants.
Get back here, missy.
Claudia! No! Don't! Not a cop! You're not a girl! You're the devil! You gotta listen to your elders when they're talking. You're new to this.
I'm hungry.
Hungry? You just ate a man twice your size. You can't possibly be.
Phenomenous observation. Your lady metabolism is permanent now.
Huh?
I'm so hungry.
Oh, like a teenage metabolism.
It's the high vampire style. From starvation.
Oh my god.
You don't want to engorge yourself, my petite.
More tomorrow, okay?
Please.
Histrionics.
Some sleep is what she needs.
Sedation is what she needs.
She's gone.
She'll settle.
She's gone.
Claudia!
Get a heart condition. Yeah, she gonna pass real soon.
Poor
It
child.
seems so
Can't nothing be done.
morbid.
We trying to accustom
And then
her to
she's
that.
just in there like all happy about it.
Going home to God.
I could take her measurements so as not to distress her any further than she already
Does she
is.
look distressed?
It's so soft.
Something ain't right here.
I love it, Daddy Luke. Can I goes out alone?
Easy. Sometimes his kills get, what's the word?
Intense, cruel, performative.
Extravagant.
She's like, wait, hold
And I
up.
don't like seeing
Hold up. Can I see it? I want to see it. She's like, I want to see that. Hold on.
What is that? That's not Arabic. What is it? Kazakh? Somewhere in the Crimea?
Kazakh.
You're not from Dubai. I thought you were a native.
Dubai's a child,
Cossack.
Mr. Malloy. No one's a native.
Hold up. He's not Armand, is he? There's no way, right? There's... What is his... See, I know there's something up with him, of course. Even Daniel is thinking there's something up with him. He's not gonna be... Like, he wasn't actually in the sun there. I'll say that. That's for sure. They specifically, like, he was not in the sun.
Dear new diary, nice to meet you. What adventures we laugh, we sleep, we love.
Oh my god.
I prefer you like that.
And then the phone rang.
Okay,
last night.
this is actually
And all
ridiculously
the easy
cute.
time
It's
stopped.
way too cute. Uh-oh.
Hello.
Uh-oh.
Brothers' backs. Make you proud, yeah?
We can pay you in installments.
You and your white daddy doing
Oh,
fine in the
Jesus.
quarter.
Oh, Jesus.
We can't pay you
Don't
what it's
say
worth,
that.
and you don't need the money.
You forget what I did to that dog, Grace?
Oh, come on, Louis.
should measure
I get you're in a
yourself.
bad mood.
Claudia has expressed an interest in going home.
It is late for a young
The smell
lady.
is awful.
Oh, no.
Wigs were invented in places where it snows.
Claudia has not learned proper decorum.
I have the papers drawn up.
He almost got trampled by a horse.
I want to know what his tongue tastes
boy.
like. I've lost my appetite. I can't
Oh,
sleep.
no.
She's born as all get out. When
She's
you're stuck in the coffin
infatuated.
waiting for the big hand to hit 9 and the little hand to hit 3.
I like this. This is a good reason to age her up a little bit in the show.
What did we say about skipping?
Because you can't have a 5-year-old, or anyone that even looks like that, doing this. No matter how old she is in reality, as a character. She's got to at least look this age
Look up.
to be
Look up.
like this. Oh. Oh.
John? I was, and I bit him, and now he...
It's easy to get carried away when you're young and in love.
Please save him. Turn him.
I can't.
You can. You did it to me.
He's dead. You didn't have to kill him, you killed him completely.
Lestat.
Yeah, Lestat, show a little more compassion.
Try, please.
You drained him dry. Now go on.
Lestat!
Clean up after yourself.
You're fucking everything up again. Show a little more compassion.
Remember this? His face as it melts.
Oh.
This is why we never get close to mortals.
But you did.
Because
you
sooner or
are.
later, they end up
The
dead.
messed up part of this.
All right, it'll pass. You got us.
Is that he's being hypocritical, but
Vivid
also
writer, isn't she?
like he's
singular style.
telling an important lesson,
Anne Frank
but
meets
he's being
Stephen
so
King.
cold about it. Jeez, Anne
Session
Frank meets
4,
Stephen King.
Rita Pontelac, and
The simple joy of her hand in mine.
you had a daughter.
I had a daughter.
I've got two. The love is kind of...
And if you were to come across their diaries and learn in detail how and when you failed them, would you share those failures with a brash young reporter you met at Polynesian Mary's?
I'll ever love in this world. Call me an angel.
Oh, Claudia.
So that means I'm on the right path. And that means there's so
Doing
much
just
more
fine, but
fun out
going
there to have.
crazy in her coffin and
I'm just getting started.
wanting to burn herself. Oh, okay. Well, that was episode 4 of Interview with the Vampire, and wow. Okay, so I finally have gotten a taste of Claudia and how she was going to be depicted and represented in this series, and I'm really pleased. I'm not gonna lie, I'm extremely pleased by what we've seen so far. You know, there's always going to be, and I thought right away when I first heard about the aging up, that there were going to be some practical advantages to doing that. And it usually is the case. Even, you know, if you look at shows like Game of Thrones, aged up almost all of the primary characters. And a lot of people were not particularly pleased about that. But from the beginning, I thought, actually, this is likely going to be good, partially because of the fact that oftentimes characters are written in such a way where they're extremely young, but they act in ways that don't really fit with that age. Whether it's because it's the author's intention or just how it ends up coming out is a question. I do think it's a little bit different when it comes to Claudia, because in the books, of course, she's a very young child, but as they even show here, despite the fact that her body never ages, her mind ages, and so she progresses. So having her act, having the character Claudia act as though she's an adult woman, even though she looks like a young child, makes more sense than you see, you know, actual young kid characters acting like full adults in some other stories. But nonetheless, it makes it difficult to adapt certain elements, just partially because of the disturbing nature of it, and a lot of viewers might not particularly take to it, but then also elements about you know, the acting. Kirsten Dunst did a really good job, a fantastic job playing little tiny Claudia, although even she was aged up from what the character is in the books. But that's one of the reasons that people are so impressed by that performance, is because it's so, I mean, that's not an easy thing to do or to expect out of a very young child actress. And I think that this definitely gives them a lot more leeway, both in terms of finding an excellent actress to portray a lot of the complicated emotions that Claudia is feeling throughout the course of her existence, but also to play into certain elements that would just be too disturbing to watch on screen if it was an extremely young child. And this is one of them. So in the books, and then in the film, you see Claudia, when she first starts to like really have trouble with the vampire that she is, in the body that she is, it mostly has to do with her having reached a certain age and then physically not being able to change at all, and feeling as though she's being treated still like a little girl, like a tiny child, by Louis and Lestat, despite the fact that mentally she's so much older, and the difficulties that go along with that. And so she'd see adult women and she'd feel extremely jealous and not understand why she is not turning into that. And they made that the focus. That was the primary focus in the movie as it was represented. But there's a lot more to it. There's her physical size making her much, much weaker than some of the, like, an adult vampire would be. And so, you know, in the movie they did kind of show that with her inability to make another vampire because of her size. But they didn't play into it too much, but it is a significant thing for her. And then another thing is that, like, she's growing into a young woman, and it's not just that she wants to have a woman's body, it's that she wants to be able to experience things like romantic love, and that she has a desire for that sort of deep connection, which, especially since she sees Louis and Lestat's traumatic relationship. And of course, that struggle of hers is not something you could really comfortably depict if you had a child actor playing this role. But if you're going to have an actress who is, I don't know exactly how old she is, but I'm presuming the actress is 19, 20 something years old, and they just tried to have her look like she might be 14, and they can kind of try to play it off as she's 14, but that she's old enough. You can have storylines like this where she's coming to terms with the fact that she'll never fully grow into a woman, but she has a lot of those feelings, and you can actually depict that in a way. And it also, like, allows you to go where they went here, where she struggles with some of the same things that Louis struggled with, in being unable to physically control her urges, her bloodlust urges, when she's in the throes of passion and emotion. You know, something that Lestat has had many, many more years to try to cope with and come to terms with. And so she has a first real infatuation, young love, and she ends up accidentally killing him. And then that's something that we wouldn't have been able to see if they had her be a little girl. So I think it was a really good choice, because of things like this. And I think the actress is doing an excellent job. I like that they are kind of showing that, you know, she might actually have more in common with Lestat than with Louis overall. But they didn't play into it too dramatically, I feel like, in this episode. I do feel like if you look back at the movie, they kind of showed it a little bit more dramatically than here, although there was plenty of things she did here that was just disturbing and showed just a complete disconnect from basic human emotions or any sort of sympathy for her victims until it was somebody that she'd already loved. But I do think it's important that they also included little moments like with them all at the movie theater and then Lestat pretending to be Nosferatu after and them laughing about it, and his kind of tutelage of her, because even though things will take some dramatic turns, it is of course the case that Claudia views the pursuit of blood and the killing of humans much more similarly to the way Lestat views it than she does to the way Louis views it. And she enjoys the extravagance, so to speak. And she has a ruthless pursuit of blood. I do think it's kind of interesting the way that they're showing Lestat's view of her in this. And I think, again, this is kind of going to come down to who's narrating, right? Because the really interesting thing about this episode is that it isn't actually even Louis narrating Claudia's story. And presumably we'll get some more of that in future episodes, but this is Claudia narrating her own story, and so the way that Claudia sees things that happened, and what she sees is that Lestat, while he's, you know, very charming and has a more similar style to her, and they have good times together sometimes, he's also very jealous of Louis. And so he sometimes could be very harsh with her or back and forth with her. So sometimes he's playing to her whims and wants to give her what she wants, but other times he seems like completely disdainful of her and irritated with her. And then, of course, the extreme coldness that we seem to see of him forcing her to stand there and watch the body of the boy that she loved burn and his face melt. And so to me, the curious thing to me is how much of this is, again, like always, an accurate depiction of what exactly went down and how much of it is Claudia's interpretation as she's writing this and how she felt. Because, of course, if you've read the books, we know that Lestat has his own interpretation and Louis has his own interpretation of the relationships between the three of them, the dynamic that they had. And while it can very much come across in Claudia's depiction here, and sometimes even in Louis', that Lestat didn't care for Claudia and that she was nothing more than like a manipulation tactic to get Louis to stay, the band-aid on the bad marriage, as Daniel says, and then later attempted pupil, because Louis was not exactly the way he wanted and she was more amenable to him. When he talks about it, he actually feels like he had a great amount of love for her. And that's not necessarily something that I think comes through super well here, even though there are moments of tenderness that are, or at least him being proud almost of the way she's acting and happy about certain things that they show. So that brings me to what I was saying kind of when they were showing the burning of the body and how cold he seemed also when he was saying, oh, he's just dead, I can't change him. It is cold. The way he's saying things is cold and is cruel. And the things he's saying about we can't get involved with humans, we can't get close to them, this is what happens. You can look at it similarly to how you look at it with Louis and his family, as partially as manipulation and control tactic. But you can also look at it as partially, I mean, it's not totally false, right? If she hadn't fallen in love with this boy, this wouldn't have happened. Both his death and also the sorrow that she's feeling right then. So you can look at it as both him actually, you know, trying to teach her what he thinks is important and that she needs to know in order to survive as a vampire, and also him being manipulative. And I think the fact that it's Claudia's narrative makes it lean more towards the manipulative and cruel side and less towards the this is actually me trying to help you because I care about you side. And I'm just very curious as the show goes forward how they're going to balance these things. It's really fun to watch. the interplaying between all three of them, though. And Sam Reed continues to be fantastic as Lestat. I want to know what the hell is up with Rashid. He's not Armand, is he? Like, so my head has been trying to figure out exactly what's going on with him, and especially in this episode where he played like much like another prominent role. Like he's got that kind of youthful and small sort of vibe. He talks about Marius with the painting. And then this time when the suggestion was that he was perhaps speaking Kazakh, which is not, you know, Armand is not Kazakhstani, but, you know, kind of, they're bringing it a little bit kind of closer geographically. And he doesn't really want to reveal much about himself. And the fact that they've got Daniel looking into it just kind of makes me a little suspicious, because I feel like he has to be a significant character like this. They wouldn't be spending so much time on him if he was just some manservant. And of course, Daniel and Armand have their own relationship. And yeah, so it would be interesting. I don't know, but I guess we'll just have to wait and find out as more pieces of that are revealed going forward. But yeah, so I also do think that it's an interesting choice to make this be the kind of catalyst for Claudia's eventual complete pulling away from Lestat and not wanting him around. You see the seeds of it sown from the very beginning with their ability to communicate that he can't be a part of, and his jealousy at that. And the fact that he doesn't share information about his past and personal life with either of them, and that he gets angry even at the mention of it. And so she feels him somewhat hypocritical because he says there can't be any secrets, but then he alone can keep secrets. So you see the seeds of dissension sort of in place, and then this will be the catalyst because Louis, of course, is sympathetic to what she's going through, and Lestat does not seem to be at all. And that brings me to the one other thing I wanted to talk about this episode, which is a really interesting choice, and I'm not sure how I feel about it quite yet. I feel like we're gonna have to wait to see how this plays out, and that is Louis begging Lestat to make Claudia into a vampire so that she'll live. I do see how it can make sense with this depiction of Louis, and that he felt so much guilt about everything that happened, the arson in Storyville, and all the death that was occurring, and the fact that she was probably going to die right in front of him horribly of burns because of his choice and the way that he'd acted. I could see like that sort of desperation. And it also, you know, it makes sense tying into, you know, he had said previously in the show that he was never going to have a family or children, and that weighed on him, and he didn't like that. So I could see why this version of Louis maybe would make that choice, but it is definitely an interesting and significant change, because in the books, Louis drains her of blood, like I said, in a kind of vulnerable, out of control moment, and Lestat then has her there, and is basically, he makes the decision to turn her into a vampire. He leaves it up to Louis, saying, oh, well, we could just let her die, and Louis is like, he can't bring himself to do that after he's already done this. But it's much more of a straightforward manipulation by Lestat, with the explicit goal of manipulating Louis into not leaving him, because now they're united by being kind of the co-makers of this daughter vampire, Claudia. So in this case, it's more like it's what Louis desperately wants, and Lestat just kind of realizes in that moment when he says, oh, a daughter, not a pet, and he's like, oh, a daughter, he realizes what Louis is asking for him, that he is like, oh, well, actually, this could bind Louis to me in a way. This can keep him here and prevent what I've been so afraid of, especially after what he said before. So he kind of jumps on a manipulation that is presented to him and laid at his feet. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not totally sure how I feel about this change yet, but it does put them in an interesting position where Lestat is really the only actual maker of Claudia, even though Louis is ultimately, and a lot of, much more responsible. Like, Louis is almost more responsible in this, even though he doesn't play as active of a role, than in the previous version, where he plays an active role of being the one to actively kill her, but is much more pushed into making her a vampire. So it's definitely a big change, and I'm gonna have to sit on it a little bit, but I don't hate it. I think it can work out. I'm just still a little undecided, and it's really like the only one of the changes so far that I feel like I've been not totally sure about at first, but everything else is so good that I'm gonna trust in them at this point. But all right, I think I've babbled on long enough here. This is turning into another very long end of episode discussion, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. But as I've said previously, guys, full-length reactions are available on Patreon, and you can also get early access and a variety of other things if you want to support the channel. It is much appreciated. I want to hear your thoughts about this episode, about Claudia and how she's depicted in this show. Please do leave them down in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.